Welcome to the Total Truth Show, episode 56, The Truth About Stress. My name is Aldwyn, Altuney from the Gold Coast in Australia.
And my name is Ken Kleinberg, coming to you all the way from the USA, San Diego County, California.
And I'm Kathy Baldwin, and I'm coming to you from Toronto, Canada.
And we'll be right back with an amazing episode today, straight after this short introduction.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Total Truth Show, hosted by myself, Ken Kleinberg from San Diego County, California.
And I'm Aldwyn Altuney, known as the Media Queen from the Gold Coast in Australia.
And our goal here on this show is to help you to break away from the mainstream media propaganda and lies, the disinformation and misinformation that's out there in the mainstream, and really help you to start questioning everything and start doing the research for yourself. We want to punch through all of that disinformation and misinformation. Our goal here is to raise global consciousness to quantum critical mass and then pave the way for a new awakened civilization. And we would love for you to come along for the ride. Don't take our word for it. The things that we share here on the show, that goes for our guests too. Start doing the research for yourself. Start going and asking the questions for yourself. Get out there and really find the real truth behind things. So with that, let's get started, you guys. Let's dive into today's episode. Once again, welcome.
Yes, welcome. My amazing co-host, Ken Kleinberg, and Kathy Baldwin, our special guest. Oh my gosh, I love this topic, the truth about stress. It seems to be an epidemic out there. Before we hear from our amazing expert today, a little bit about Kathy. She is the founder of Rise Up Coaching. She specializes in empowering people to overcome personal and professional challenges, including stress and burnout. She has a deep understanding of universal laws and innovative coaching methodologies. She has become an unplanned expert in stress and burnout, guiding countless people towards personal growth and transformation. And her approach integrates energy healing, holistic impact as well. And she is definitely a sought-after authority right now in areas of resilience and in well-being in the face of stress. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited about this conversation.
It's going to be amazing. And I know we've got a lot of people joining us right now on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter or X, Instagram. Hello, we've got Darlene Geiger here. We've got Mario Beckett, Win Hypnotherapy. We've got Unraveling Grief. We've got people from all over the world joining us on different social media platforms. Please let us know, where are you joining us from if you're joining us live? And what questions do you have about stress? We like to make this a very interactive show. So firstly, Kathy, why stress for you?
Stress for me was what I lived with and didn't realize that every piece of that stress that I was dealing with caused fibromyalgia, adrenal fatigue, osteoarthritis. It was the thing that was trapped in my body and creating so much pain and havoc. It was what took me down, and it was what I should have known was happening to stop my burnout and my breakdown, but I didn't know.
I get it. And I must say, having worked in the media or been in the media for 40 years, it is high adrenaline. It is go, 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 go. And I remember once a coach said to me, Aldwyn, you're an adrenaline junkie. And I never heard that term before, this adrenaline junkie. And I must say, it's been quite a journey for me as well, where I have recognized different periods of my life where I've had high stress and high anxiety, and it still happens from time to time. And nowadays it's a real practice for me to calm down with things like meditation, yoga, beach time, walks on the beach or swimming in the ocean, and many other things that have helped me. What about you, Ken? How's stress been for you?
I can definitely say that I used to be very anxious, very stressful, very worried about, a lot of different things. And I think over the last year, that is continuing to lessen and lessen and lessen. And some of that has to do with some inner work that I've been doing. Some of that has to do with um, mentors that I've been working with, and it's just so. And one of my intentions that I set for this year in particular was, to flow, to go with the flow, and to learn to be more attentive to the invitations that are being sent to me and given to me by God as far as the path I should take and which direction I should go with certain things. And then also learning to release the learning to release like or dislike, if you will. So whatever's showing up for me at that time, learning to release the like or dislike towards it, and just go with the flow in it and let it flow to what it's going to do, or to the path that it's leading me to go on. So I don't know if any of that makes sense, but that's kind of part of some of the inner work that I've been doing. And it's a journey, it's a process. It's not something that's happening overnight, but it's definitely enlightened to me to quite a few different things as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. And we've got someone from Los Angeles here on Facebook. Please let us know who you are. If you're joining us live, let us know where you're from and what questions you have about stress today. We would love to answer any of your questions. So, Kathy, back to your journey with stress. Now, I mentioned it's been an epidemic, it seems like, been an absolute epidemic, particularly lately. And of course, we've seen through COVID, a lot of people have been experiencing all sorts of mental, physical, emotional, spiritual stress. There's been family breakups over choices over the jab, for example, and all sorts of other stuff that has happened through this time. And I think there's a collective worldwide stress that has been even bigger the last few years than ever before. What have you noticed around that?
Well, the stats are horrible. 76% of adults are suffering from stress. Over $1 trillion gets cost to the economy based on stress and anxiety. We have over 1 million Americans calling in sick every day due to stress and anxiety. This is causing divorces, it's causing health crisis, it's affecting mental health, physical health. We have never, ever been in such a horrible position as we are today. And stress is the signal that our body is not in alignment with what we're supposed to be in. That stress is only supposed to happen when the tiger is chasing us.
Yes, the fight or flight that happens like that, and the fear mongering that's been happening through the media. Let's face it, people have been living in fear, and of course, how do you control the population? You have them live in fear. It's divide and rule. And now, what we're starting to see more and more, I've noticed, is a lot more common law, a lot more communities coming together and saying, "Hey, enough is enough. I'm going to start questioning what's going on through the mainstream media here. Some of these things are just not adding up." And in fact, last night I was at the casino locally here on the Gold Coast. I was talking to one of the security guards there that I've known for a long time. And I said to him, "Oh, did you have to get the jab here working at the casino? Was that a prerequisite?" And he said, "Oh, yeah, we all got 2 jabs, but I'm not getting any more." Because I knew this guy from the health world from 20 years ago. I knew he was a health buff. And I know Ken's right up on all the health stuff, right? And he said, "Did you know that one of their staff there, they had 3 jabs. They had to get a 4th jab to go back to China to see his family. He had to get the 4th jab, 34-year-old, healthy male, the next day died of an aneurysm, heart attack, died of a heart attack the next day." Can you imagine the stress that would have put on not only all the people that work at the casino knowing this, but what about his poor family thinking they can't wait to see their son from Australia, and now suddenly he's dead? And this is the thing, there was coercion. In fact, we talked about this on our last show, that we did an amazing interview with Melinda Richards, our episode 55, The Truth About Wokeism. and identity politics. And we talked about this as actually coercion that has been happening. And people say, oh, yeah, you had a choice. You could choose whether to take the jab or not, just as an example of what could be causing stress to people right now, is that people have taken it. Many people have taken it thinking they had to have it for whatever reason, for travel. We couldn't enter restaurants, or, there's so much we couldn't do if we didn't have the jab. So yes, it's a choice, but you just lose all your freedoms, right? And so this is what is causing a lot of stress now, because people have now had this poison in their body. And question everything, our friends. I'm not a health expert, but question everything. There's been way too many episodes and experiences of people having side effects, serious side effects, or dying from the jab. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people that are still burying their head in the sand and that think the government actually has your best interests at heart, and they actually do care about your health. Whereas we know that stress equals dis-ease in the body. Dis-ease, right? Dis-ease is dis-ease in the body. And it's no coincidence that when you have stress in your life, that you have stress in your body and you have health issues. And you mentioned your own health issues there, Kathy. So can you share a bit about the lead up to your personal health issues? What led to all that stress for you?
Well, we were living in a society that said suppress everything, don't show your emotions, man up, do everything strong, powerful, don't let anyone see you cry. All of this crap that we were taught to live by. And all of that keeps our stress system on, and we never get a chance to process that. We're supposed to process our stress through our lymphatic system. Well, the more I suppressed, and I was really good at it, and I was really good at putting on my big girl panties and just keep soldiering on, and no matter how much my body hurt, no matter how many times I was getting the tap on the shoulder, I kept going. And what I discovered was that our hormones are chemicals. And when we suppress those chemicals, those cortisol and all the rest of the stress hormones, they're trapped in our body, which creates inflammation by our immune system. And now it affects our gut biome, which now starts to affect every other stress or every other disease. They've proven now that 95% of diseases start from stress and inflammation.
Wow, that's amazing. Amazing. Well, and a lot of people do have gut issues. And interesting, I was reading about grounding the other day, about actually just getting your bare feet on the ground, on the grass, or on. And one thing, I live close to the ocean here on the Gold Coast, and I love going to the beach. I love getting my bare feet in the sand and going into the ocean. For me, that has been an amazing part of my stress relief, let's just say. Yeah, fascinating. I was reading that actually grounding yourself helps your gut.
It affects everything, because we're electromagnetic beings, and the earth is our ground, literally. So we know about it with electricity, but no one's ever told us that we're meant to touch the ground. We're meant to have our bare feet and getting dirty. We've been living in an antiseptic world of having everything sanitized and, keeping us away from germs. Well, we need that. That's what builds our immune system.
Exactly. No, I definitely agree with that. And, it's just like, it's interesting. I think it was a couple of years ago that I discovered just how damaging hand sanitizer actually is. And I actually saw a couple studies come out on it, saying that a lot of the hand sanitizer brands out there actually have been shown to cause cancer. And it says there's chemical makeups in there that cause cancer. It's just not good. And then you've got our household products that have a whole bunch of chemicals in it. And so I know for me here, like, we're slowly but surely transferring over to less toxic cleaning products and things, just because I'm just not comfortable with using them anymore. I'm very self-conscious. For a while, I would rinse our counters with just a very light amount of dish soap and just hot water, just because I didn't want to use the other stuff anymore. Like I was just like, no, I really don't want to spray this. I don't want to smell it. I don't want to have it go through my nose and have my liver process the sense that these things, the fragrances. Oh yeah, fragrances. Do you know that like when they say fragrances, that can mean 1,000 to 5,000 different types of chemicals, and they technically are not at bound to list what those chemicals are. All they have to do through regulations is just say fragrance. And it's like a wide, array of all kinds of different things. So I've been a lot more aware of that. And since I've been a lot more aware of it, it's interesting when somebody's doing a laundry at our apartment complex and they've got something in the dryer and they've got those stupid perfume filled dryer sheets. I'm walking up the walkway and I'm almost like gagging now. It's like it's not pleasing to me anymore. I mean, that stuff used to be, it used to smell good. Now it doesn't anymore because I'm slowly but surely training my body, not to rely on that. And so another thing that I'll say about stress as well, it is really interesting how, just normal everyday life stress gets to you and it causes inflammation. And then on top of that, so you add the inflammation onto that. And then on top of that, you've got all this processed food that's out there that's causing even more inflammation on top of that. Now we've got chronic inflammation. Now we've got metabolic damage from the seed oils that are out there and all this other stuff. It's just, it's a catastrophic, what do I want to say? It's a catastrophic snowball effect in your life as far as health.
Well, Ken, we don't matter. Only profits matter. And this started at the Industrial Revolution, where anything natural or anything human was degraded, and if it wasn't being able to be replicated and conformed and plastic, then it had no value. And that was because if it was natural, it could be profitable. We only need to clean our counters with lemon and water, vinegar. We don't need to do anything, but everything that they're trying to sell us by this way of trying to manipulate and control us by making us think that they know how our brain works, they know how our body works, and so they use that against us for marketing. And they trigger those dopamine hits to get us to buy these things that keep us disempowered, that keep us in this cycle of just going down, because we're controllable when we're unhealthy. We're controllable when we're on drugs. We're controllable when we're weak and not united, when we're pitted against each other and at war.
Yep. The dopamine thing is a big, big, big thing. I mean, especially, and I catch myself doing it all the time. I mean, so I'm not guiltless with this, but the little scrolling that you do on Instagram or going through reels and stuff like that, all that's doing is just dopamine. And then later you wonder why you can't concentrate as much. Well, that's why.
And dopamine turns people into a dope, right? Turns them into dopes. Dopamine, right?
And too much of it, yes. Too much of it, yes. But there is a healthy amount of dopamine that we do need and is effective and is helpful, but not every second. I mean, oh my gosh, this is one of my pet peeves. And I knew I was going to share this tonight, but the other day at the gym, this was last week, I was at the gym and there's a piece of equipment I wanted to get on. There's this elderly guy sitting on it. He's not even doing anything. What's he doing? He's on his phone. And of all things, he's playing solitaire. It's like, are we just so, I don't know, programmed to always have our phone in front of our faces, and that's the other thing. It's like, there's oftentimes I'll look around at the gym and this is what I see all over the place. And it drives me crazy, you know, and I'm just as guilty of it, but I catch myself now with it, you know, and it's just,
Do you know that dopamine is our reward center? And
yes.
so it gives us a good high. Now, if we know that's what it does, then we can give it to ourselves as a reward. All we have to do is splash our face with cold water, and we've given ourselves a dopamine hit. You want to train your brain to be rewarded by things you want to do and change? Cold water.
This is why the cold plunge is becoming so popular
Yeah.
with a lot of health coaches.
Yes, and ice baths. And I must say, I have a cold shower every morning, and I love it. I love it. It's a great way to wake up. You know, you definitely know you're alive when you have a cold shower. Well,
There's a
especially
lot of research. Yeah,
Well,
there's
you've
been a
been-
lot of research. I've been learning about the cold shower, the cold bath, and how it's taking a certain part of our brain and actually it expanding it, which makes us live longer. But it's also, we live in a world of what I hate the song called Comfortably Numb. We live in a world where we're supposed to be treated as comfortably numb with pills and everything to just keep us in this comfortable state. Our bodies are designed for extreme. We're supposed to know what hunger feels like. We're supposed to know what thirst feels like. We're supposed to know what it feels like to be cold, to have all of these things. That's how our body knows how to respond.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned that song, Comfortably Numb. It's by Pink Floyd, I believe.
Yes, it
and
is.
the thing about it is what I'm learning with Pink Floyd is if you really pay attention to their lyrics, a lot of times they are speaking truth. So that Comfortably Numb song, I think he's got a point. And here's the other thing I've just recently saw, and I don't remember where I saw it, but the lead person with Pink Floyd is starting to actually come out and stand up against some of the things he's seeing, where it's like media is showing one thing in this country, he's going to that country and he's seeing something completely different, and he's actually standing up and standing out, which then has, like I said, kind of brought me to question Pink Floyd. So have they kind of been on board of the being awake all along, and their lyrics and their songs are just to, hey, look at what they're doing to you. I don't know. I could be far reaching on that, but it's just interesting on that.
I don't think so. My favorite movie of all times is The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz told us what in 1939, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. It told us things like, Dorothy, you've always had it within you. It was telling the truths back in 1939 with so much clarity if you paid attention to the symbolism that they were using.
Yep.
Yeah, I love Pink Floyd. I must say I grew up with Pink Floyd, and one of their songs that really has stuck with me is the Money song. And if you look at the lyrics of the Money song, right, money, get away, you get a good job with more pay and you're okay. Money, it's a gas. Grab that cash with both hands and make a stash. There's so much. Money, it's a crime. Share it fairly, but don't take a slice of my pie. Money, so they say, is the root of all evil today. Now, that was done how many years ago? I'll find out when that was actually done. Many years ago, right? Yeah.
What's that Supertramp song, too?
1973. 1973 that came out. So that was a year before I was born. That song came out. I was born in 1974. So that's 51 years old now, that song. Money, and look how relevant it is today and people's mindset around money. And of course, talking about stress, money is one of the biggest things that gives people stress, the lack of money. And of course, now what have we seen? Inflation's gone through the roof. We've had 13 interest rate rises in Australia just in the last year, thanks to the Labor government, thanks to our Labor voters, right? I'm not saying liberals much better. It's kind of bad or worse when it comes to politicians. However, this is what we've been dealing with, and this is giving people a lot of stress. So how to deal with that?
And even the song "Brick in the Wall," all in all, you're just a brick in the wall. If you really
Yeah.
listen to that song and you're really paying attention to what he's saying in that song, he's basically speaking out against the school system and what the school system has trained each of us to be: obedient and, sit down, shut up, learn. You're going to sit here and you're going to be here for 8 hours a day and you're going to obey. And I mean, it's very, very interesting when you're paying attention and you're clued into what's really going on. It's interesting, the symbolism. It's interesting, the truths that you then discover. And it's interesting how the entire picture changes. Very interesting.
Absolutely.
So,
I
Kathy,
was doing a lot of.
Oh, sorry, go on. Yep.
Sorry, we have a little bit of lag here.
That's
okay.
I was just going to say that I was doing a lot of studying to figure out where this societal disempowerment came from. How did we get to be such zombies? And I found that it started back after the Dark Ages. The church took over control. And the church decided who was able to learn and what they were able to learn. The church dictated everything, who could earn money, what they could earn, and kept the majority of people disempowered. Then we went into the Industrial Revolution, and with Newton, where they created silos, and with the Industrial Revolution, they said, oh, well, we're bringing people in from rural, where they were in communities and in societies where they took care of each other, and they were all independent business people, entrepreneurs. One's a blacksmith, one's a seamstress, one's a cook, whatever. They all did what was best for them. And the school system was built for conformity to feed the fire of the Industrial Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
How interesting. And we know, of course, how much corruption there has been in religion, right? Of course, spirituality is a whole other topic. Religion, though, especially the Catholic religion. Oh, my gosh. I mean, who decided that nuns and priests couldn't have sex? Of course, they're going to go for little boys and little girls and whatever the other screwed stuff they do out there. I mean, there's some twisted stuff that's been happening over the years through religion. And, each to their own on that. I respect your choices. However, we have seen corruption through and through, hidden behind the church, right? Hidden behind religion. And I mean, I was brought up Christian. I was brought up,
Have you been to the Vatican?
No, I haven't. No,
but I know plenty about the Vatican. I know plenty enough about it.
I was so appalled. I was so appalled. I was so angry. Here they are asking 10% of everybody's money, and the wealth was dripping off of every ounce of the Vatican. It was sickening. The wealth that was just splayed all over. And what they had out in public was nothing compared to what was hidden behind closed doors.
Oh, yeah. There's tunnels full of, the Vatican had tunnels and tunnels and tunnels full of gold. More than enough to supply the world.
Yeah, I heard that. The things that people may not be aware of. However, from watching this show, Total Truth Show, we are here to encourage you to question everything, my friends. Question everything we're saying. Do a bit of research yourself, and Google may not give you all the answers you're looking for. You might want to try a few different search engines, or try places like BitChute or Rumble or Telegram or Signal, some alternative media. And I must say, I'm very grateful for the alternative media. And I think as much as we're becoming aware of all these things, it's important to notice your state as you're hearing this information. Right? Are we triggering you right now? Are you getting angry by information that we're sharing with you? Or is it an opportunity perhaps to look at things differently, to maybe question, oh, I wonder if there's any truth in that. I wonder, I might just do a bit of research myself and question some of these things. Or, and that's the thing, is half the thing is getting conscious where we're being unconscious. I love that you said, Kathy, comfortably numb. It is like it's like zombies out there. It's like the Walking Dead. It's like people who can't wait for Friday and who hate their Mondays. Although in Australia, we pay people not to work here. We have a very generous Centrelink system, one of the highest tax countries in the world. And we pay people not to work here. So really there's nothing for them to stress about, but they do. A lot of them do stress, even when they're being given handouts, and they just continue to stress because that's how they know life to be. We watch dramas on Netflix. Watch Out of Shadows. If you haven't seen that documentary, watch Out of Shadows. It is so powerful about how we've been brainwashed through the media over the years. And so what are some things, Kathy, I'd love to know from you, what are some ways that people can reduce their stress?
The thing that I found is the most important thing is to be personally aligned. When you are personally aligned with your head, your heart, your gut, your actions, your words, your life, and everything is in coherence, and you are living true to who you are and bringing your gifts to the world, there's no stress in that. It's when we're being pulled into pieces and we're not being who we are. Our insides are crying. We know we have a purpose. We know we have meaning, but yet we're being shoved down. And that is, I think, one of the greatest stresses that we can go through. It's a fight internally that we can't get away from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely. And just noticing, are you feeling stressed right now? And, Ken was sharing at the beginning, the more we get attached to wanting a certain outcome, the more disappointment there will be potentially in life. And particularly for anyone who's online dated at any point in life, if you've been online dating, if you've gone onto the online dating sites and you've started out open and loving and excited about the opportunities, sure enough, soon enough, you will end up very disappointed, let me tell you, because I know I've been there many times. You'll get ghosted before you know it, and crap happens because there's a lot of people that think, oh yeah, I want love, I'm so open, I want love, yet I've got all this baggage I'm bringing into this. And a lot of people have been hurt. They've been hurt in relationships before, so they say that they're open, they think that they're open, but actually emotionally they're not open at all. And so what happens is they might get a little bit close to you and then they suddenly run away. And they get close, they run away. They get close, they run away. And so what we're having is a real issue with intimacy as well right now. I'm seeing that this stress is leading to a lot of issues with intimacy and trust. Who do we trust? People are getting ripped off left, right, and center. Through COVID, we've had so many scammers that have come out of the woodwork. Scammers bloody left, right, and center. I get people from Kenya every day wanting to marry me. And they look like British. They look like they're from America and they're in the army or they're working in the oil fields. And, yet they all want to marry me. Suddenly I'm so beautiful, suddenly, to all of them. And please befriend me. Please friend my, and they put things all over my Facebook. And I think, well, that's nice that they're having a go. Good on you for having a go. However, I am going to, if I'm slightly interested in any of those people and I think that they may be real, I'm going to get on a video call with them ASAP. And if they don't get on a video call, then there's something fishy going on, my friends. Let me tell you, that could just save you. That little point there alone could save you a few $100,000 getting ripped off, because we look for love. We all want love. We've just had Valentine's Day. So many people get lonely around Valentine's Day and they feel like they're total losers because they're single. And that's a whole other issue, right? Now, I'm single. Kenny, you still single?
Of course.
Oh, you are. And Kathy, what about you? How's your relationship area going?
I'm back with my ex, which is funny because we had that same thing where you come into a relationship with expectations of what it's supposed to be. But when the reality is that your stuff starts to bumble up, if you don't know how to process it, if you don't know how to deal with your own crap, then it'll leak out on everybody. It is so important that we do our own personal inventory, our own personal healing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so one of the things that I'm realizing with that, so it's just like, for one, you put a request out there. You put a request to God out there, it's like, hey, I desire this. And by the way, it's better to use the word desire. If you use the word want, you're actually subconsciously creating a state of perpetrating want. And so that discovery just kind of, I was like, oh, wow, really? How many times do I say the word want all the time? I want this, I want that. What I'm actually doing is I'm actually creating a continual state of being in want, but never actually getting anything. So it's better to say the word desire. Now, when you are after certain things, like I desire this or I desire that, you have to know, and this kind of comes in a little bit with quantum physics. Quantum physics. Wow, I got tongue tied there for a minute. So
Don't
it kind of
stress.
comes
Don't
in.
stress, Ken. Don't stress about getting tongue tied. Okay.
Oh no,
Don't
I
stress.
laugh at myself all the time with that now. It's like I used to be the perfectionist that was very self-conscious about that. Now I'm just like, look, I fumble, you get the opportunity to laugh at me. So there you go. You know, it's like when you put those desires out there and ask God and just like, hey, you know, this and this and this, you cannot dictate how that package arrives. And where I was going with the quantum physics thing is when you become in the present and you're detached from the future and you're detached from the past and you come into the present, you are literally now connected to everything. Everything you are desiring is actually yours. It doesn't matter what your eyes show you. Your eyes, you know, you're looking with your eyes and you're like, no, I don't have that yet. But in that reality, you have to have faith that it is already yours. It hasn't shown up yet. And now going to the next step, how it shows up, you don't get to dictate how that shows up. You do not get to dictate the packaging that comes in when it arrives. Sometimes it's going to arrive in a packaging that you're just like, oh, why the heck and what? But oftentimes the greatest gifts are wrapped in packaging like that. And so you know, it's good to be in a state to where you're recognizing these packages that are arriving. It's kind of like the same aspect of being open, like I was saying in the beginning, being open to the invitations that God has given you through the day, through the week, and walking in that direction with that, not looking at it going, oh, well, this isn't exactly what I wanted. I wanted it this way. I wanted it green. I wanted it, you know, to look this way. I wanted it this, you know, over here and this, and that isn't what I asked for. You don't get to dictate that. But my whole point in all of that is also releasing the need, releasing your desire for what it should look like. That's a real big key. That goes for relationships. That goes for your health journey. You know, a lot of times in your health journey, losing weight, you have this image on what that path and journey should look like. Bull crap.
Yeah,
Release that, because that is actually holding you back in a
absolutely.
lot of aspects and will cause stress. Kind of zeroing back in on our topic here. I'm
Yeah.
hoping all of that made sense with all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And a landmark course I did once, they said, be committed, not attached. Be committed to what you want, not attached. And the attachment is where we go, it should be this way, it should be that way. And that's about ourselves and about others. How often have you said, oh, I should be at a certain place now in my life, or I should be doing this, or I should be doing that, or blah, 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 right? So just notice in your language as well. Notice, are you shoulding all over yourself, my friends? Are you shoulding all over yourself? What are your thoughts on that, Kathy?
Pun intended, by the way,
Well,
with that. Are you shooting all over yourself?
Yeah, shooting all over yourself.
no, it's the truth. It is absolutely the truth. I wrote a book called Unlearn the Crap about personal success and empowerment. And one of the things is imposed on us. It is judgments from external. And that comes down from centuries. It can also be built into our DNA. There are so many things that, Ken, you were saying that were just exciting me so much, because that's what we don't know. No one's told us the power of energy and how we're already connected to everything. And the power of knowing how the universal laws work, knowing about the law of vibration, knowing about the law of gestation and compensation, and the law of relativity, where everything is true relative to its perspective. And when we know that by changing our thoughts, we can change our environment, we change our chemicals in our body, we change all of that stress and inflammation, we change our DNA, we change what we see on the outside. Everything changes when we change our thoughts.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that.
I
And
thought
actually,
it was a bunch of.
yeah.
I was taught that was all woo. And it has taken me a lot of years to unlearn that is not woo. It is physics. It is biology.
Yes. And you know, here's the other thing. And I've actually had to wrestle with this over the last year of discovering a lot of these things, learning more about quantum physics, learning more about quantum entanglement. And let me tell you, you start going down those trails, it's like mind blowing.
I love it.
But I had to then, you know, step back and go, all right, now how does this apply in the realm of, like, for me, like, I am a Christian, you know, so how does this apply, you know, with God and everything else? Well, the best answer I can give at this point is simply this: God gave you these gifts. God gave you the gift of having a mind that can change things in your body. God gave you, you know, God works in the quantum physics world, if you will. That's how, you know, it's all connected that way. And that's the best way I can explain it. There's probably a better way to explain it, but hey, I'm on this journey myself, discovering a lot of these things. And I'd be lying if I said I totally understand quantum physics and how everything works, but it's a concept that's fairly new to me. But the thing about it is, it's a concept that's coming to the surface more so nowadays than it ever has before. And that's the key. So I've had to, like, take that and embrace it and go, okay, now how do I walk forward in this knowledge and also apply it to what I know who God is, if you will.
Yeah, I love that, Ken. And I want to draw your attention now to Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness. Now, this is something I've been getting into the last few years, looking into quantum physics and the science behind it. Now, David R. Hawkins is an internationally renowned spiritual teacher, psychiatrist. He's a physician, researcher, and developer of the widely known map of consciousness. And also, he wrote the book Power versus Force, you might have heard of. Now, what he says is that he's actually scientifically proven we are 99.9% energy, frequency, and vibration. Now, interestingly, doing a little bit more research, he actually says that 99% of the world's population is living at a contracted frequency of below 200. So when you get in different emotions, you get in different frequencies. So, for example, everything under 200, we're looking at things like anger is at 150, desire is at 125, fear, actually interesting, desire is 125, fear is at 100, where most of the world is, grief is 75, apathy is 50 hertz, guilt is 30 hertz, shame is 20 hertz. So shame is the lowest vibration you'll feel. Whereas when you're in an expanded state, with the love, you're at 528 hertz when you're feeling love. Joy and gratitude, you're at 540 hertz. Peace is 600 hertz, and enlightenment is 700 hertz and above. Now, we're going to go up and down as human beings. We're going to go up and down this scale, right? Now, we've heard of the 80-20 rule. I always thought it was 80% of people that lived in a very contracted state. However, interestingly, is it 99%, I wonder? You know, I think things are shifting. I think there is a shift in consciousness now, particularly since COVID. I think a lot more people are starting to wake up and starting to question things, which I think is amazing. Not everyone is speaking up about it. However, I believe a lot more people are awake than we realize. And if you are an awake person watching this right now, pop a yes in the chat if you get what I'm talking about here. And I know Robert Mull here on Instagram, he's saying that World War III is happening right now with a psychological war when we're talking about that.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that, my friend. World War III is actually happening right now. It's actually not with guns and bombs and everything else. It is an information war.
Yes.
And it's with money.
And money.
Absolutely. He says our minds are more powerful and effective. Our mind is big power, how we feel and how we keep healthy. is the biggest killer for our mind and body health condition. Yeah, absolutely. How you think, right, is a massive impact on how you do life, how you think and how you feel. And the healing is in the feeling, as they say. The healing is in the feeling. So notice how you're feeling, and there'll be some healing to get there. If you're feeling stressed right now, there's a learning there for you, right? If you're feeling stressed in the body, and Louise Hay talked about this with Heal Your Life, with her amazing book, Heal Your Life. She says, if you've got back pain, you feel like you've got a lot of pressure on your back. If you have throat problems, what are you not speaking up about? If you have problems with your feet, what are you not walking forward? What are you hesitating about walking forward, etc. Now, I want to draw your attention to an amazing film I saw yesterday called The Iron Claw. Now, I love watching movies based on a true story. Now, while I am not a fan of wrestling, this movie is actually based on a family, the Von Erich family, which were actually huge when wrestling was huge in the 80s, right? This family, they made it in the Hall of Fame eventually. There were 5 brothers in this family, and the father was like determined that they were going to be the best family in the world with wrestling. And he put a lot of pressure on his sons to be the heavyweight champions of the world. Now, what that movie shows is the psychological impact that had, having a very demanding father who had such high expectations of his sons, and the tragedy that then ensued when these boys couldn't live up to their father's expectations. Well, you have to watch the movie to see whether they actually did or whether they didn't. However, there was tragedies there that really didn't need to happen. And one of the things that the father said to the sons when there was tragedy is he said that, don't cry. He said, don't cry. Boys don't cry. Men don't cry. And this is a real issue in itself. We have tear ducts for a reason. And I love it when I see a man cry. Right? I love it when I see anyone cry, because it shows that they're fully expressing their emotions. And it's good to cry. I cry all the time. I think it's fantastic to let the emotions out. If you don't let it out, you potentially will get dis-ease in the body in some way. What are your thoughts, Kathy, around expressing emotions?
Emotions are information. It is our body telling us what it is that's going inside of us. So if we understand that fear is telling us that you're outside of your programming and you are going into new territory, all it's saying is be aware. And so many of us think fear means run and hide and stay sheltered. Well, it doesn't. When we know what our emotions are, then we have the power to change our lives, because if we're heading in the wrong direction, our soul is trying to talk to us, and it's using the frequency of emotions. And when we're not addressing our emotions and we're not living authentically with them and we're suppressing them, we are then again creating more stress and inflammation in our bodies. And that's where energy healing, it's amazing to me. Albert Einstein said that the future of medicine was going to be in energy. And the pharmaceutical industry and our current medical system does not believe it, because they believe in disease and pills and Band-Aids and not getting to the root cause.
They do believe it. They just don't want us knowing about it because it's not profitable for them. They are very complicit and in bed with the big food companies. So I'm sorry,
Absolutely.
Kathy. I had to like say they know about it and they are aware of it.
You're right. I was talking about the appearance, but you're right. Same as the oil companies. I just heard a report that came out in the 80s, and it had been hidden by Exxon, that they knew that drilling for oil was bad for our environment. It was bad for our ability for our health. But at first they thought that they were going to bring this report out and show the world how they could go green. And as soon as they found out that it wasn't profitable, it all got hidden and shelved.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. There, as a matter of fact, I just finished watching a 3-hour documentary. And this 3-hour documentary is talking about a lot of things. So it's talking about what really is going on with the UFO scene. It's talking about the free energy scene. It's talking about technology that we actually have that's been out for 100 years. It's this documentary also talks about how we should have been coming out with this free energy thing 100 years ago. We are actually 100 years behind where we should be right now. Technically, there is actually devices that they have out there that exist that can literally give you free energy in your home, unlimited. There's enough that it will never get exhausted ever. And this has been hidden from us for so long because it's not profitable for the elites.
Yep. Nikola Tesla proved that exact fact because everything is energy, and energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transmuted or transferred. I learned that at a nuclear plant many, many years ago. But that I think I saw that same documentary where it said that Nikola Tesla was backed by JP Morgan. And as soon as JP Morgan found out that it wasn't profitable, they took everything from Nikola Tesla, and supposedly it's hidden in the US government.
How interesting.
I'll share with you the link to that video. The reason why I attached to it so much and I continued watching through it is, one, because it's the first documentary or video. It's actually an interview on a podcast, but it's the first one that I have seen that's not off the top craziness and woo woo-ness and everything. It is extremely down to earth, and it is quite a bite to chew when you get into it. But and I'm not going to get into some of the other things that it talks about as far as UFOs and aliens and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into that here because we can talk all night on that. And our subject here is stress. And one of the things that I want to bring it back to as well. So emotions. You talked about how those are messages from your soul saying, hey, something's going on. Hey, I'm trying to get your attention. So emotions are literally nothing more than energy in motion. Something else I've learned.
Yes. And the ending of that word ion, it means with charge. So anytime you see a word and it ends in ion, it is charged.
ION.
So ION, yeah. Emotions are both vibrations, but they're chemical responses in our body. We think they're airy-fairy and don't pay any attention to them, but they are chemical responses that are being produced by the stimulus that's coming into our body. And it is information to tell us what is happening, what our body is doing, what the central nervous system is doing, so that we can make conscious decisions. But we're living on automatic pilot. We're not understanding that our emotions are controllable. When we access what they are, we can choose our vibration. We can change our state, which changes the chemicals. It changes the vibration. We have that power. But I think that's why emotions have been put down and said, don't pay attention to them. They don't mean anything, because they are that powerful.
A lot of my past life, a lot of my past years, when I've experienced emotions that I foresee as negative, I've often found ways to fight through it, avoid them, push it down, shove it, and everything else. It's only within the recent months that I am starting to learn, and I'm saying that very specifically because, oh, good Lord, have I not mastered that yet. But I am starting to learn to now face those emotions. So if I'm, maybe if I'm a little anxious about something, or something pops in my head and I get a little anxious, I'm learning how to notice it and stand there and stare it in the face and just let it be present. Let it be. and accept it, not fight through it, not why am, not just like judge it, but let it be present and look at it, stare at it. It's amazing what happens when you do that. You may not get an answer right away, but what you will find happens is it does begin to dissipate, and it does begin to kind of lighten up because now you're present to it. Now you're looking at it. You're staring right at it in its eyes. And it's a skill to learn for sure, because Kathy, you're right. We've been taught all our lives to shove these things down, to not pay attention to certain emotions and different things like that. And now I'm just kind of on the journey of learning how to stare it in the face, let it be, and examine, why is this here? What's the message that's being sent to me?
Now, Ken, when you ran to the bathroom, we talked about how a lot of guys have been conditioned not to cry, and how in the Iron Claw movie that the father of this family, that he was, he's pushing for the whole family to be world champions with wrestling. That the father said to the kids, there's a point in the movie, he says, "Don't cry. Don't cry." These kids were feeling full on grief, and he said to them, "Don't cry." And you can see through the movie where they're trying not to cry. Like that, well, they actually didn't cry. I mean, trying is not a great word. However, they're doing their best not to cry, and they bottled that up, which then led to other issues. What are your thoughts as a man here? You do identify as a man, right? As a
Let's
man.
not even use that language. All right. Here's what I'm going to say about identify. Identify as a child of God. All right. And yes,
Okay.
I am a man.
Thank you. What are your thoughts of boys crying, men crying?
You know what? I find it very releasing, extremely releasing. It kind of brings me back to a story that I'll tell when I had my Temecula house, and I was in the middle of the network marketing business, and I was really pushing for the next level. And I was just really stressed out. I was really anxious about it and everything else. And this one day, I had a day where all of a sudden, all of that stress, fear, anxiety hit me in a way I've never experienced before. The best way I can describe it is it literally felt like, how when, this is the best way I can describe it. You know how like when you're maybe a little stressed out or scared about something, but you find some point to ground yourself and go, okay, it's going to be okay. And it's almost like you can feel the feet on the ground. You can feel the feet on the ground. You're just like, okay, I know this is going to be okay. Okay, I know. I literally could not find that spot. It literally felt like my physical feet were floating and I could not get that grounding inside myself. I couldn't find it. And I literally felt the whole day. This is basically a panic attack. I felt the whole day, just, I mean, I went outside in my yard, ran around my house a couple times outside just to try to find that grounding, to try to find that area to where I can go. And when you do that, you feel you get that grounding, if you will. Now I'm not necessarily talking about grounding as you're connected to the earth. I'm talking about a spiritual grounding, a different kind of grounding here. But I could not find it, and it was driving me crazy. Interesting enough, I got on the phone with my mom later that evening, and I was sharing with her, what was going on and the stress I was under, and midway through that conversation, I don't know what happened, but I let loose. I just started to bawl and weep. And it was shortly after that I found that grounding. I was able to then take a deep breath, let it out, and I could feel that centerness in my soul and in my heart. I had found it, and it only happened by releasing it through just letting those emotions out, letting the tears flow. So it's actually an extremely healthy thing to do that. If you feel like you want to cry, don't hold that back, because that release is going to recenter you and give you that grounding.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Ken. And I've had many periods where I have cried and cried. And I mean, I've had depression over the years. There's times I've gone to bed and I have just cried for no apparent reason. I've just cried and cried and cried myself to sleep. And I do get why people go into black holes. I do get sometimes these feelings of desperation and why people take their own lives. I get that there's times where people feel so destitute and that there's no way out, and to end the pain, to take your own life. And I think there's lots we can do about that. And, you know, nowadays I'm really passionate about getting more good news out in the media. That's why we've got the Global Good News Challenge every month. We have the Good News Day every year. We have the Conscious Community Global Facebook group, which we mentioned some of the documentaries there. There's the Thrive documentaries, talks about limitless energy. Just back to that point, watch the Thrive documentaries if you haven't seen them. They are in this Conscious Community Global Facebook group. We've got some amazing documentaries. Out of Shadows is in there. What the Health, Seaspiracy. There's so many documentaries that will absolutely blow your mind. Things that you'll watch and you'll go, oh my gosh. And the thing is, once you take the red pill like they do in the Matrix, there ain't no going back to the blue pill. You will be questioning everything. You will be questioning everything. And I do recommend, when you find that documentary, Ken, if you can pop it in the Conscious Community Global group here. And anyone watching
I
this,
have it. I have the link, so I'll share it with
beautiful.
you. It's quite a mind-blowing video, but it is a time commitment. I had to take it in chunks. Some people can watch it all at once, but I had to take it in chunks. But it's great information. It's not over the top. It's not a bunch of craziness. It's a very down-to-earth conversation, and it's not woo-woo-y at all.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that. And talking of energy centers, just back to that point, you know, it's scientifically proven our chakras, our chakra points are all scientifically proven energy centers, right? And there's actually so many more than just the 7 or so that are in our body. There are so many energy centers. It's insane when you really get into this quantum physics and how powerful we are as human beings. We're connected to source. If you go right down and look right into the nucleus and into every little bit of our bodies, we're made up of the same stuff that the stars are made up of. It's insane when you really get into it. Kathy, how did you start getting into quantum physics and all of this yourself?
Well, I've been fascinated by it for over 40 years. So I've been studying psychology, neurology, biology. I mean, you name it, I've been studying it. And thank goodness it was what saved me when I was at the depth of the darkness that I was, thank goodness, not able to succeed. But I still have a hard time saying the words, but what I found, and there's so many things that you guys have all been talking about, and I've been wanting to jump in, and it's killed me to keep my mouth quiet.
Oh, please, though, jump in when you want to. Like, this is your spotlight, so don't let us steal it from you.
It was like triggering. Woo, I gotta say something. So what I really want to be able to say is, yes, quantum physics has proven at the root of everything is nothing but pure energy. There's also a experiment that was done called the observer effect, where depending on what you expect to see is what you will see. So the experiment, the scientists were looking to see if there were waves at the root of the nucleus. And when they looked, they saw waves. And then when they thought, okay, well, where's the particle? And they went and looked and they saw particles. And they realized that we have been taught that something has to be either or. It was both. And the thing is that amount of energy is in potential mode until consciousness comes in.
Yes, I've been hearing a lot about that too.
Yeah. So when consciousness comes in, that's where the charge comes from. And now creation has started. And so one of the things that you were talking about I wanted to talk about universal laws was when we know that things have cycles. Instead of our expectations saying that it's supposed to be a straight line and I'm supposed to get there like this, and this is what it's supposed to look like. if we understood that creation was a movement. Excuse me. Sorry.
Just speak
My
amongst
throat
yourselves.
got dry.
We'll be right back.
I apologize.
Please don't stress.
I was talking so much, my throat got so dry. I got too passionate.
Yeah, all good.
But there's so many things that the universal laws tell us in conjunction with knowing how creation and energy works, that if we knew that as soon as we put our consciousness on a thought to create, it is in creation. The thing is that it takes time to go from the energy to the particle. There's just like the gestation period, as if you were having a baby. We know it takes 9 months, but for some reason we want our dreams to happen like that. There is a gestation period to that. There is a rhythm.
This is why one of the people I've been working with is Anna Berger in her subconscious program. This is why when she did her deep recode session with me, and I listen to that every night, the recode, one of the things she says, okay, so you have now been recoded. These things are there. And I remember one of the things I struggled with in the very beginning was, why am I not seeing it? Why am I not noticing a big difference? And this is why she uses an illustration in her program, basically saying, picture a big giant cruise ship. And now this big giant cruise ship has to turn around. Well, that's not going to happen quickly. And so you've got to have faith that these things that now, like, for example, in my illustration, the subconscious recoding, you have to have faith that it is already done. Otherwise, you're going to reverse what you're trying to do. So go ahead, Kathy. Sorry.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, is when we understand how the universal laws work, we can have faith and trust in belief on the science of it, instead of us having to just trust that someone told us or we've read it or whatever. We have conscious knowledge of how it works. So if you know that creation happens as soon as there's consciousness, and now you've got the explosion of energy, because it requires male, female, it requires positive, negative, right? And your creation is coming along, but you used fear and you drop out of alignment. Or you have should and you drop out of alignment. Or you think, I've worked so hard, and I hit a wall and now it's wrong and I failed, and you drop it. Your creation did not die because you dropped it. It is still energetically out there in the world, and somebody else is going to pick it up where you left it off. Have you ever had the experience where you thought of something, the most amazing thing ever, and you thought, oh, I've got to do this, and you never did? And then a few years later, somewhere in the world, the thing you thought about is there? Yeah. Because we dropped it. We dropped it, and somebody else picked it up. And because you can't undo creation. You can't rewire it. Just because we don't see it, just because we don't perceive it, does not mean it's not there.
Yeah, interesting. Every thought goes out into the universe somewhere, and people do pick it up. Absolutely. It's something that for a lot of people is very hard to get your head around, our logical mind around. However, it's really beyond time and space, isn't it? It's really in these other dimensions almost. It's quite phenomenal.
Yeah, well, we've been taught to believe that we are physical, and that anything on the outside of us is nothing. It's air. It doesn't really exist. But
the only reason,
if you go...
Go ahead. I'm going to let you finish before I enter my thought. Yeah.
it's going to say, if you go into a microscope, there is no separation between our skin and the air. There is no separation between the skin and the bones. It is all interconnected because everything is energy. And the only difference is the rate of vibration.
Actually, you pretty much made that point. So the reason why this book is solid to me and I can't put my hand through it is because it's vibrating at a different frequency than my hand. Water, I can put my hand through the water. That's because it's at a frequency that my hand can actually pass through.
And it's our perception of it. We can't take a piece of air out of the air and make it separate. We can't take a drop out of the ocean and separate it from the ocean and just make it one little droplet. But we've been led to believe that we are separate from everything else when we are made of the same thing. We are made of the same energy, the same vibrations, the same everything. We are not so special that we don't count.
Yeah,
we are the same.
To further that too, and coming from my perspective, to further that too, we are God's DNA. Literally, we are God's DNA. And then here's the other thing too. And, you know, when Anna said this to me, I remember she said this to me, I was just like, there's a big light bulb that went in my head. I was like, oh, aha, okay, that makes sense. So let me give you an example of what I mean by this. So in the aspect of being connected, if you will, is kind of the perspective that I'm going from. For me, in the past, I've approached God as if before I approached him, I was not connected to him. Mm-hmm. So I would come before in my prayer and I'd be like, Lord, I come before you. The truth of the matter actually is I was never away from him to begin with. I am always at all times connected. There is no need. My point is, there is no need. Love the cat. There is no need to connect. You are already connected.
Yeah, it's just our consciousness.
Yeah.
It's just our consciousness. When I do my meditation and I connect to for me, I call it source. So when I connect to source, I am aware that I am now focusing my attention to be aware of it. I didn't have to plug in. I just had to undo the noise and become aware that I'm already connected.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. So we have 60,000 thoughts a day, my friends. And out of that, 98% are the same that we've had yesterday for most people, and 80% are negative for most people. That's actually just getting conscious to where are your thoughts taking you right now. See, right now I've got my cat Pablo, my rescue cat. He's jumping up on the bench as I'm doing this interview. Now I could choose to get stressed about that, or I could go, oh, isn't that sweet? He just wants to hang out with me during the interview, right? So it's all about how we respond to whatever happens. And, you know, I lost a cat. I lost a dear cat, Tiger, who I had for 15 years about 6 months ago. And within a month, I adopted Pablo, who was in a cattery for a month. And I tell you what, I could have chosen to hang on to the grief of losing Tiger, which I still miss Tiger, of course. I had a lot of tears. I went through a lot of releasing. I wrote a big journal, a big post out. And, you know, there was a lot of releasing to be done over that journey. However, now adopting another cat and helping another life, and Pablo was highly anxious when I got him. Let me tell you, he still doesn't really like me holding him. As you can see, he jumped out of my arms. However, he's much more affectionate than he was 6 months ago. And this is the thing, is one great thing I do to release and reduce my stress is to connect with nature, to connect with cats and animals. And I know Ken also has an aging cat that he loves. And, you know, animals are so present in the present moment. We're talking about being connected. We are all connected. And this, It's the division that brings people stress. It's the division that makes people fear, the feeling that they are separate to everything else, that they're all alone. There's a big difference between all alone and all one. All as an alone and one, right? Alone and all one. And I've come to realize through the wisdom of my years that, for a long time I felt very alone, and I felt very, I felt like I didn't belong anywhere for a long time. And I felt very insecure, and I didn't have much self-love. And for me, over the years, that has been a practice I've built, has been a muscle I've developed, is to practice that self-love and to practice compassion. And if someone's being nasty to me, it doesn't mean anything about me. Hurt people. And that was one of the best things I ever heard. Hurt people. And realizing that if someone's being nasty, it's actually not about you at all. It's about them. And to send them love, bless and release. You don't have to hang out with these people. Notice if you're hanging out with people that put you down, that make you feel like crap. And actually, no one can really make you feel like crap. You choose to feel like crap because of what people do, right? So notice how you're responding to what's going on around you.
The other thing, a key that I will give, and for those that really get what I'm saying, and by the way, with me giving this key, I'm not saying that I've mastered it. I am working through mastering this particular key. But when you are in the present moment, let's say, I'll use myself for example. Let's say, I get ready, I sit down on my desk and I get ready to start my day and focus on the things that I need to focus on for my business, for whatever I'm doing. The moment that I become present in that very moment, not worrying about the rest of the day, not worrying about what happened tomorrow, but treating that moment as a brand new moment, is the moment I now have the opportunity to now do something different than what I've done before. To not act on autopilot on what I've always known and, oh yeah, so I need to put out a video on social media. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need to do that. But becoming in the present gives you the keys to now treat that moment as an opportunity to do something in a different way that you have not done before, which then guides and leads you to a different path. And, this kind of also goes back to what I was saying about releasing like or dislike and all of that other stuff. When you become present in the moment and you treat it as an opportunity to do something different, to do something new and in a different way, you now open up so many different opportunities. There's a book that I've been going through, and it's called The Surrender Experiment. Great book. The guy's got a great story. I'm not all the way through it yet, but what I have gotten through it, I wrote this down in my journal. Number one, first of all, surrender means being willing to follow the invisible, unseen into the unknown. Personal preferences like or dislike don't get to guide my life anymore. By surrendering the hold those forces have on me, I am allowing God to guide me in a much more powerful way. And then a couple other things I wrote down in here. Let go of the personal reactions of like or dislike that form inside my mind and heart. This helps me to have more of a clarity. So I simply look to see what is being asked of me through whatever's shown up by the situation unfolding in front of me. And then I leave this with a question. What would I be doing if I wasn't influenced by the reactions of like or dislike?
Very cool, Kim. Love that. Kathy, I'm curious with you, was there a turning point for you that led to a lot of your stress in life? Or was there something major that happened that led you to stress?
No, I think I always had it. Like most people, my brain interpreted things that happened around me incorrectly. So for my whole life, because I was an unplanned child, I believed that I was not of value and I didn't belong here.
Right.
And so that belief, it was going on automatic pilot. I didn't even know that it was really going on until I did some real work. But it led me to people pleasing. It led me to self-sabotage. And all of those things were creating stress. And things were happening in my body that doctors couldn't understand and nobody understood. Now, in retrospect, it's really easy to see it was stress. My digestion went. I started having irritable bowel. All these things were happening. And in hindsight, it's so easy to understand. But I think I told you that I became an energy healer during my breakdown so that I could heal myself when the medical system just gave me pills. And one of the things that I discovered, because I became an emotion code and a body code practitioner, which is releasing the energy of trapped emotions. And emotions are chemical and they're energy. So releasing it. And I had over 400 trapped emotions in my body of self-abuse.
Wow.
Well, when we talk about self-abuse, we sometimes think it's about hurting ourselves physically. But the self-abuse was every time I said yes when I meant no, every time I didn't have boundaries, every time I respect myself, every time I put myself behind anybody else and didn't take care of myself. And so for me, that epiphany of understanding that all of that that's physical is also energy and all of it's interconnected and interwoven. And when I was not interconnected, when I was not aligned, I was sick. And that's what I brought out into the world. And that's what came feeding back to me. And so it was a huge awakening to release all of that, understand that I can choose and I can create my identity, and I can understand that if something appears black and I want white, well, everything has polarity and I can choose which side I want.
Yes.
I can use it as a turnaround, as a U-turn. I can use this information instead of feeling beaten around by it.
Yeah, I love that. And it's interesting that the cat that I've adopted, which was, the cat referred to me by this Wildcats charity where they said, oh, sorry to hear about your cat dying, but, we've got this other cat that's been in the cattery for a month that you may want to have a look at. It's interesting that the cat Pablo, who you just saw, I'll just show a close-up of his his face there. Oh, there we go. Can you see that?
Tuxedo.
So he's tuxedo, right, with black and white. And as I look at Pablo, sitting right next to me, by the way, I think about the yin yang of life. I think about the dark and the light, and you need the dark to have the light. You need the light to have the dark. So, and as they say, the stars shine brighter with a dark night. Right? The stars shine brighter. And so it's actually embracing all of it. It's embracing our shadow aspects, embracing the light, the shadow, all of it, embracing the whole journey of it, embracing up and down Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness. And we've got Dr. Scott here. Scott Fox here is an acupuncture specialist from Sixth Sense Acupuncture in Brisbane. We've had Scott on one of our previous shows. He says, we are our own worst enemy. And that's in the mind, right? That's where we can be our own worst enemy. And he also says, you are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with. Yeah, I love that too. Who are the 5 people you're hanging out with? Because you're in many ways, you'll be similar to the 5 people you hang out with. And there's another great quote that I heard that 95% of your happiness or misery can come from who you choose as your life partner or who you choose as the main people in your life. So getting conscious to that. Yes, Ken, I can see you about to say something.
Yeah. One thing I want to say about, we are our worst enemy. So just something for those of you to think about too. If you say the statement, I am my worst enemy, which I've said it, we've all said it before, you are actually programming that in to your subconscious mind, and you will actually produce that. Stop saying, I am my worst enemy. Just
Yes.
find.
I believe that our society has taken us to a place where our unawareness
Yep.
is what is causing us to not be aligned and empowered. And it is my mission now to speak to as many people as possible to let them know that everybody, every one of us has everything we need within us. We just haven't been taught the rules or the biology. We were taught how to spell. We were taught how to mathematical tables, but we weren't taught about personal finances or about stress responses. You know, there were so many things that we were taught that had no value to us living our own lives. And to me, the most important thing, I'm coming back to stress, is knowing that we cannot control when our central nervous system hits on. It's so fast, it's so automatic, it happens before our brain even knows it's happening. But we can become conscious and turn it off. And I'm going to come back to before we went on air, where we took in some deep breaths and then let it out. Scientists have not come up with a pill that will turn off the central nervous system, the stress hormones or the stress response better than taking in those deep breaths that say, I'm safe. The tiger's not chasing me. I'm safe. And it's those deep breaths, calming down our breathing, our heart rate, all of that, that brings us back to normal. And one more, I just got to quick before I forget this. When we go into stress, there are two major parts of our body that shut down and don't work. And one of them is our intelligence, our clear thinking. We cannot think. That is shut off. The other thing is our digestion. Neither one of those things are needed if we're in life or death situations. So no wonder if you're living in stress constantly that you have digestive problems and weight problems and all of these other things that are happening because it's shut down when we're living in stress.
That's fascinating. And of course, Ken has lost 22 kilos, or how many pounds is it, Ken? You lost
62.5 pounds. And I've kept it off I've kept it off sustainably for going on 6 years now without a diet.
That's amazing, Ken. Do you recognize a time when you were really stressed when you were that fat?
Oh, hell yeah. There were tons. Now to identify like what or when or whatever, but one of those times is when, I had that panic attack, which I never want to ever experience that again. That was the most freakiest, scary thing that I've ever experienced. And thankfully I never have experienced it again. But I will tell you what happened in result of that. So once I got my grounding and everything else, it was, later after that, I made the decision, which was not a good decision to make. I made the decision that I was not going to let my emotions get the hang of me again like that. And so I began to kind of shut down a lot of that part of my life. And for a while, it was very hard for me to feel things, if you will. And that's not a good thing to do. You work through those times, but don't try to shut down your emotions. It's not a good thing. It took me a long time to get back what I had shut down and the damage that I had done after that. So there's the after story of that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And Scott says here, we're all gods. Ken, I agree with you. We're all gods. Thank you for that, Scott. And I can
lowercase g, though. Lowercase g. We are all gods. There's only one mighty and true God. Yes.
There we go. Yeah. And Robert Mull, Wisdom World on Instagram, he says, we are very powerful and blessed because we can talk, we can feel, and it's just an issue. We didn't yet discover how to use our capacity of our magic mind. We use majority only 10% of our minds. Well, yes. Well, that's a whole other thing. Absolutely. We don't often realize how powerful we are. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And there's been so much wisdom shared here. It's been an absolutely awesome show, I must say. And I would love to keep chatting. However, can you believe we have been chatting for 90 minutes almost? And it is time to wrap up shortly. It goes just like that. Yeah, especially Ken loves to chat. I'm the quiet one here. Ken's the one that just loves to keep chatting. I'm very quiet in the background. Hard to
Well,
get a
there
word
have
in.
been a couple shows that we've done to where the topic isn't really something that I know much about, so I'm like sitting here silent, and it's kind of awkward.
Yeah.
But when there's topics that I'm really excited, oh yeah, I'm like a little chatterbox, and I often have to like draw back and remember it's like, hey, it's their spotlight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's awesome. We have a great dynamic, and it's wonderful to have done 56 shows now, Ken. So cool. And this has been a wonderful topic. I'm sure a lot of people will learn a lot and get a lot from this show. And for those who have joined us live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Instagram, please let us know what's some gems of wisdom you've got from the show. What's some things you've learned, maybe some things you're going to take on board from now on. Robert's saying here, and we program with the system and become followers, not listen to our intuition inside us. Yes, that's another great point, Robert. Trust your intuition. Thanks, guys, for the great topic, he says, Robert. Thank you so much, Robert. I can't actually share your comments from Instagram on the screen because it's a very new feature now. StreamYard's just allowed recently to stream to to Instagram. I'm laughing because my cat is swiping at my hand as I'm moving my hand. My cat is having a go at me, so he's playing with me here on the side. The things we can't control in life. Now, this will cause you stress if you want to try and control everything, right? So now I did say don't stress. However, I will reframe that. I will say practice peace as opposed to, because if we say don't stress, our body thinks of stress, our mind thinks of stress, right? We don't. It's like don't think of the pink elephant or the blue elephant. You'll think of the pink or the blue elephant. So practice peace, my friends, and remember to breathe. I love breath work, and I love what you said there, Kathy, about that. So in wrapping up, Scott says thanks to all. Thank you, Scott. In wrapping up, my cat's swiping at me. Oh, Pablo, you behave yourself. Okay, so we'll come back to Pablo in just a moment. He's such a cheeky little bugger. Totally spoiled. Totally. It's not my fault.
as the way it should be.
He's totally spoiled. I love him. Anyway, on that point, Kathy, any final words on this topic? And then I'd love to hear from you after your final words. What's a favorite quote or motto you live by? So we'll come to that.
Well, my favorite quote, I have to say now because you put it into my head, is from Maya Angelou, which is, when we know better, we do better. And we are constantly evolving. And I do believe that our insides, our heart, our soul, all of us knows what is right for us and where we belong. And every one of us has a part in this world, and we need to stop playing small. I really believe that the world needs our energy, that we have way too much low vibrating energy, and we need to come together. And that requires that we step into our own greatness.
Oh, yes. I love that so much. I got my yes button out.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, baby. Yeah, I love that. That is awesome. Kathy, and how can people connect with you and work with you?
Well, I would love to hear from them. I'm at riseupcoaching.io. I have the book Unlearn the Crap, which the website is unlearnthecrap.com. And I do have a stress at risk burnout quiz that's available. Do you have the link there? It's unlearnthecrap.com, breaking-burnout.
Here we go. I've got riseupcoaching.com. No, I don't have your links here. Ken, have you got
Kathy,
those?
you can pop the link in the private chat. So
Yeah,
why
or
don't
in
you
the
go ahead and
comments?
type the link in the private chat?
Yeah, or comments as well. Okay, so I'm putting the riseupcoaching.io.
Okay.
Reach Kathy.
Unlearnthecrap.com.
Here we go. Riseupcoaching.io. Now, right now, Facebook's not letting me post any links at the moment. They keep giving me strikes on Facebook. There must be something I'm saying that they're not liking for some reason. I don't know what it could be, possibly. However,
oh wait, that could be the truth.
Oh, it could be the truth. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It could be the truth that they don't like. Well, I know that when anything comes up that says this goes against community standards, I know there's definitely truth there. And it's definitely something I want to be clicking and going, watch it anyway. Thank you very much. Yes. Share it anyway. Thank you very much. And I do encourage you to do the same, my friends. So anyway, riseupcoaching.io. That's wonderful. And any other links pop them. Oh, here we go. We've got another one here. Okay. Unlearnthecrap.com. I love that too. Unlearnthecrap.com. My cat's playing with my pen. Okay. I love you, darling Pablo, my little black and white minstrel show.
Just let him play with the pen, let him make little ding noises, and just let it happen, you know.
And you did, I just want to say one thing, because you did ask me how people can work with me. Yes. One of the things that I absolutely love about how I work with people is I do not follow any systems. All I do is teach people how to access their own inner greatness by helping them understand how to get there. So when people find their own greatness, I don't need to do anything. And one of the worst things I read about when I was looking at mental health and trying to figure out how to deal with my own depression and anxiety and everything I was going through, it said, we do not know enough about how this works, but make sure you go to a licensed professional. And I thought that is the craziest thing I've ever heard. We know ourselves better. We just need to know ourselves even better.
Yes, yeah. I love that, Kathy. I love that. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful having you on the show. Really enjoyed this topic.
Thank you so much.
It's been awesome.
I've enjoyed this. I could talk for hours more.
I know, right?
We might get you back another time and do part 2. So that is absolutely brilliant. And for Ken, how can people connect with you, my friend?
You can connect with me through my link tree, which Aldwyn's getting ready right now to share that. And once you connect with me on my link tree, you will see at the very top of that link list is a brand new masterclass and group coaching launch, which my co-host here, Aldwyn, has signed up for. Nice job. We're actually co-hosting this, my friend Mia and I, and we actually interviewed her on the Total Truth Show a few episodes ago, and Mia and I decided to work together. And so we've actually got a masterclass coming up, which is also going to be a soft launch for our group coaching 12-week program that we have that is... My gosh, the topic lineup we have for this group coaching is absolutely incredible, and you're going to want to be a part of it. And the masterclass will definitely go over all that. The masterclass is free to sign up for. All you have to do is go to that link, sign up for it, and it's free. I will also say there is a upgrade on that masterclass. It's a VIP upgrade to join us on the Q&A session. For afterwards, there's going to be a 45-minute Q&A session, and that is a $20 upgrade. Come on, no brainer. Everybody's got $20. So there's that. The second way you can connect with me, which is also on my link tree, it's the second link down, is my Facebook page. You can go on my Facebook profile and connect with me there. And then third and last, but also just as important as the first two, my calendar link. Hey, I want the chance to get to know you personally. You know, I don't bite. I'm not going to try to hard sell you on anything. I might try to help you out a little bit, you know, and point you in a direction for your health journey or weight journey if you're on it. But otherwise, even if that's not something that you want to do with me, just let me get the chance to connect with me. Let me get the chance to get to know you better and vice versa. Let's connect. So book an appointment with me on my calendar. And so you can find me on my link tree at www.linktr.ee/FatFighterKen.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Ken. And what's your favorite quote or a quote you'd like to share today?
Well, this one's not a quote, but it's something that I have here on my wall. And it's a reminder to me to look at that on a regular basis. And here's what I have down here. So it says, don't lead with fear or anxiety. It brings a negative experience. Don't be reactionary. Release attachments to what things should look like. Get the pressure off yourself. I need to be somewhere else. This goes for all things, especially in my business or in your business.
I love that, Ken. That's absolutely wonderful. And before I get to how people can connect with me, I'd like to thank everyone who's joined us live here today. And we do have Misbah Altaf here also, who is saying that Misbah is also an interviewer and they want 30-minute interview with all of us. So there you go. Let's reach out to Misbah. Thank you so much. That would be wonderful. And for anyone else who's got a show as well, we're always happy to collaborate and work together. If you are looking for guests for your show, all three of us do that as well. Okay, so reach out to any of us if you want us as a guest. Or I'm actually looking for more speaking gigs this year. So speaking gigs around the world, have laptop, will travel. And for those who are looking for speakers on any topics around media and mental health and good news and stuff like that, and how to shift the world through positive news, as well as how to get publicity, how to get yourself out there, to be seen, heard, and known. That's my specialty. So for those who want to connect with me, go along here to linktree/Aldwyn, linktr.ee/Aldwyn, spelled ALDWYN, for those tuning in on the podcast. And on there, you will find a heap of cool stuff. I've got a replay there of my How to Launch Your Own Global TV Show webinar that I did. I've got 5 top tips to gain TV exposure. You can download my report there on my website. You can book a call with me as well, a free connection and clarity call. Get some clarity on your messaging, your branding. I can help get you out there in several ways. We have a group training program called Mass Media Mastery. And I also have a done for you PR program where we actually guarantee publicity and we get you out to the media. So if you don't have much time and you've got more money, then reach out and we'll help get you out there. And if you have less money and more time, then the Mass Media Mastery program would be better for you. So reach out and just have a no obligation chat there on my calendar link. Also, last week I launched a brand new show called the Media Mavens Show with the amazing Kirsten Linartz from Germany, who was a mainstream TV star in Germany. And it's called the Media Mavens Show, all around health, wealth, and wisdom. And we are going to be going live every Tuesday night, Australian Eastern Standard Time. If you're in Central European time, it's going to be about noon for you on a Tuesday. Although next week, because I'm flying to Bali on Tuesday, Monday night is going to be our show. We're doing a late night show, Australian Eastern Standard Time. It'll be 11 p.m. Monday night. We're doing the next Media Mavens Show. And then we'll be looking for guests also for Media Mavens Show. And I've got the first guest lined up. Linda Morris is going to be a great topic we've got coming up for our third show there as well. So lots of collaborations, lots of really cool stuff. And my quote I am going to give you today is about stress. It's the truth is that stress doesn't come from your boss, your kids, your spouse, traffic jams, health challenges, or other circumstances. It comes from your thoughts about your circumstances. The greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another, one thought over another. Okay, so notice your thoughts, my friends. Your thoughts become actions, etc. So notice your thoughts. Notice, are you having empowering thoughts with yourself and with others right now, or are they disempowering? Okay, and it's a choice in any moment how you choose to do life. So that's about it from me. Any other final words, Ken, Kathy, before we wrap up the live stream?
Thank you. I'd be back in a heartbeat. Whenever you ask, I'll be there.
Yay.
We'll be happy to have you.
And I'm also on the speaker track as well. So I do have a laptop. I do travel.
Yay. We have laptop, we'll travel. And I want to send everyone much love today. I've got my little love heart. And also I have a magic wand here. And the magic wand is to remind you that you are in control of you. You choose how life goes, no matter what circumstances are happening. Everything, I do believe, happens for us, not to us. It happens for us, not to us. So if you're having any challenges right now, ask yourself this one question: how is this happening for me right now? How is this happening for me? There's always learnings to be had if you choose to see it that way. Okay, and some of the biggest so-called disasters and breakdowns that I've had in my life have led to some of the biggest opportunities and biggest breakthroughs. And I encourage you to look at that for yourself too. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Thanks for all of our live viewers and those watching the replay. Let us know what you got from this. If you've enjoyed it, share the love. Share the love. Make sure you subscribe to our channels and all that fun stuff. Our Total Truth Show page on Facebook. Like the page if you haven't already. And if you've got a spare 55 hours times 90 minutes, 55 shows times 90 minutes, what's that? That's probably about 100 hours of viewing that we've done already. So if you've got a spare 100 hours, just hop in there and watch some of our previous episodes. Yeah, more than that, because one of the shows went for nearly 3 hours. However, we're not going to go 3 hours today. We will wrap up. Thank you so much once again. Blessings to you, and we'll see you again.